that fierce competitiveness part of me just feels like I gotta say this part.
Say it.
I want to give a shout out to all of the existing pharmacy podcasts out there. I also just want to let you know
What are you
that
saying?
we're on our way. We're on our way. I'm coming for you. I'm
I'm
coming for
scared.
the I'm coming for you. I'm coming for the number one spot.
Welcome to the Hey RX Friends. We Got This podcast where we share our thoughts on the pharmacy profession, experiences as healthcare providers, and explore our identities as two women going after it all.
As we share our stories, we hope you laugh, maybe cry, and feel inspired as you get to know us. Because at the end of the day, friends, don't forget this. We got
this.
Yes, we do.
Hello. Oh my goodness. Well, it's been so long since we've actually sat down and record. How are we feeling today? It's our 1 year anniversary episode.
And then you had to go ask the really hard question of how are we feeling today? Like,
Yeah.
I am wrapped up in my feelings, sitting in them, just basking in my emotions today because this I we're here a year later.
Yeah.
This is
It doesn't
wild.
feel like a year, mainly
Yeah,
because I don't know, it just felt like it had gone by so fast.
it did.
Um
It did.
yeah.
It did. I don't know. Like I'm emotional because I'm not a creative person. I'm going to say that so many times on here. If it's your first time tuning into this episode, I've said it probably a million times, but I am not the creative person. I think my thing with this podcast has always just been that I struggled finding my voice. And once I did find that voice, I didn't want to be afraid to share that voice because it's a whole different process. It's a different process finding your voice. Then once you find it, you're stuck in this thing of like, okay, well, what the heck do I do with this voice now? And for me, it was just like I found my voice and then thankfully quickly figured out how I wanted to share that voice. And then quickly just was like, I want to share it with someone. And then quickly was like, hey, do you want to do that with me? And I feel really lucky and just really privileged that we are here, but also we're not just surviving. We are thriving and growing and making our mark because that's what we set out to do, and we're doing that. That's wild to me.
Yeah, I think that when I first started this thing, I really thought that we were just going to do a podcast and that was going
Yeah.
to be it. And that is something that I need to work on, is like not thinking so not small, but like just so stuck in a box.
Yeah.
But when you came along, you're like, oh no, this is also what we can achieve with this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And as we both dream big and as we both release that energy into the world too, other people are catching on. I think
Yes.
that's key, I think, is what
Yes.
I've learned is you can't just keep your energy to yourself. Like, keep a lot of things close to your chest if you want to protect it, but also
Yeah.
your dreams and your ambitions. I think it's good to release it into the world so that others can kind of feel it and then bring you along onto their journey because we actually cannot, we're going to be doing some really fun things in the future and we can't
Yes.
really accomplish any of it if we just stay in our own bubble.
We
Um,
did.
it requires a lot of other people believing in us as well as
Yeah.
us believing in ourselves. So it's been
Yeah.
cool. It's been very weird to hear people being like, I am a fan of your podcast, like in real
Podcast.
life. That is
Yes.
so weird to me.
Weird.
I've had a couple of residents right now that are aware of my podcast.
Yes.
That is very strange to me
Isn't
because
that, but isn't it cool? Like, isn't it so cool?
I'm
Like,
scared. I
I
feel like a
love,
celebrity. No.
I, I have a meeting. I had a meeting last Tuesday and I was meeting my fellow. my new position, I get a health economics and outcomes research fellow. And I'm so stoked to have somebody specifically that is doing a fellowship like this because I'm all about like real world evidence and what is that information telling us and how can that drive how we practice and all that. And she walks in and she's like, "Oh my God, like I don't know. I hope like this is okay to say, but you're like low-key a pharmacy celebrity." I was like, "Whoa, no, you're going too far." I was like, "Oh, pause." Like, no, 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 no. I was like,
Yes.
no. I was
Yes.
like, I know pharmacy
Yes.
celebrities. I know pharmacy celebrities. And I am not that. She's like, no, but you know what I'm saying? I just think that you and Thu get us. And then I sat up straight. I said, oh, do we?
What?
Tell me more. Tell me more. And like my director is in there and he's like, I just love how that lit you up. I was like, because that's our mission. We are we want to be the voices in that space of the disillusioned, the people who feel like the profession has left them behind, the profession doesn't see them, doesn't hear them, doesn't understand them, or the profession wants to box them in. And they're just like, but I know I'm a pharmacist, I'm all these other things too. And if someone tells me something as simple as, I feel like you and Thu get us, that's a real big deal because that's what we are after. Like
I mean,
that's what we're after.
that's such a big compliment, though, for
It's
people to be
such
like,
a
because
big compliment.
that's really the only reason why we are doing this. The other day, I was at kind of like a networking event, and
Yeah.
somebody, a much older gentleman, was like, "So you have a podcast?" And I was explaining what we do, and he was like, "So why are you doing it? Like, is it a hobby? Like, is it for fun? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I enjoy doing it. It's definitely fun, but it's not a hobby." Because
Yeah.
if it's a hobby, I wouldn't be putting out this much effort and work to
Much.
like have other
Yes.
people be aware of us.
Absolutely.
It's, we're doing this with a purpose, we're doing it with a mission. So it's not just for fun. It's we
No.
want to engage people who
Yes.
may feel like it's not worth engaging in pharmacy. And we're like, no,
Yeah.
actually, it is.
It
Actually, you
is.
can be passionate about a profession that others may have told you that it's a boring profession, that it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to get you anywhere. It's
Mm-hmm.
whatever that the negative things that you've heard, and it's like, no, you like there are some amazing pharmacists out there, and you just need to
Gosh,
find them
we do.
because
And I agree. It's it's also like I think maybe this is a people thing. I won't limit it to just pharmacy, but I say this often. My criticism, I don't think it's criticism, but I call it criticism because I want to pick like the harshest description of it. But my criticism of the state of the profession, the state of the pharmacy education, the way we're currently doing this, it's a criticism of the process, not the people. I am genuinely interested in interrogating how we do things because those things, there are people behind them that it affects not indirectly, but directly. Like when we decide that we just want to let the PBMs run amok, there are people behind that. Shout out to the Real Housewives. Shout out to the Real Housewives. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go get your whole life together and figure out why you don't know what I'm talking about when I tell you to shout out to the Real Housewives and PBM. Get your life
it's the Real
together.
Housewives of prescription drug costs.
Prescription drug costs. You need to get your whole life together because you have gone astray somewhere, somehow. And I can't help you with that part. Some of this, you got to take initiative. It's called self directed learning, to what I was saying, right? But when we decide that we're just going to let these institutions, organizations, and infrastructures do whatever they want because they sponsor our meetings or we have good relationships with the people at the top, there's the independent pharmacy that's the only one within miles of that small town that is going to suffer for that. There's grandma that can't afford her meds. There's me, Sally, who can't afford her transplant drugs copay. There are real people that are behind many, many, many of these policies. So yeah, some of the things people are like, oh, that was such a harsh comment. I'm like, good. That was the intention. That's what I wanted. I said what
Yes.
I said. Okay. It's
It's
like
like that
I,
that
yeah.
oh my gosh, I feel like I live through like TikTok sounds now, but it's like Hey, I said what I said. You know, like
Said,
Doja
thank
Cat song?
you.
Is
Yes,
it Doja
it's a
Cat? Yeah.
catchy. Yes, right. Like I said what I said, and
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to say, and that's what I meant by what I said. But it's not a criticism of anyone. It's a criticism of the processes we have in place. And Thu and I, we are not 30 years removed from any process. We are still fresh on our career journey, where someone who is in power, position of power, I promise you, ma'am and sir, you care what we think because we represent a significant portion of this profession now that's exiting out. Like they're going to other professions because they don't feel like you see or hear them.
Yeah.
And to be here a year later doing exactly that and having to wear her red lipstick and everyone knows that that is code for we going off today. We're not playing today.
I
It's,
love it.
or when Thu has on her glasses, like that's what one of the girls told
Oh
me. She's
yeah.
like, I just think Thu gives it away by the visuals. If the glasses are on, okay, it's a true crime. There's a lot of reading going on today. She's coming to drop
Yeah.
knowledge today.
Yeah.
But if
I
she
love
got
it.
her red lipstick on, she's listening, she's paying attention, but she's gonna be hot today. Like she's not
Mm-mm.
coming to play any games today,
Mm-mm.
right? I love that. I love when they
Yeah.
give me feedback like that and other people who give me ideas about connect with this person, connect with that person, ask this person this question, ask this person that question. Like, don't give up on that. Ask them this, ask them that. Do it this way, do it that way. We are open to all of it because I promise you, like, if we weren't listening to the feedback and what you guys give us and responding to our surveys on Instagram, we wouldn't be here a year. This wasn't easy at all. Like,
No, you
it
guys,
wasn't.
this was not
Life
easy.
life was happening while all these other
Yeah.
things were going on, and it takes like patience from both our end to be like, I can't record today, I have to cancel today, I have to do this today, do this and that today, and like we're here and like we're not going anywhere. Like that fierce competitiveness part of me just feels like I gotta say this part.
Say it.
I want to give a shout out to all of the existing pharmacy podcasts out there. I also just want to let you
What
know
are you
that
saying?
we're on our way. We're on our way. I'm coming for you. I'm
I'm
coming for
scared.
the I'm coming for you. I'm coming for the number one spot. Like
Oh, girl.
I want you to know that I'm coming for you and I'm coming for you and I will take no prisoners. This is not that type of game either. If my sister is here, she'll be like, calm down.
I'm quivering. I'm quivering in my pants. Um, but you're bringing so much energy to this episode already, and I that's the thing that we love about you on this podcast is this energy that you bring. And oh my gosh, and you're so brave for feeling so open to use that voice. I'm so proud of you for
Thank
getting there as well. Like it takes a lot of work. And
God.
this is why we are going to be the top number one pharmacy podcast because
Period.
other pharmacists, are there pharmacy podcasts? Like, I think that there is a lot of fear about speaking about certain things. And, it's hard to be transparent when you have a lot of fear to speak,
Yes.
which is like kind of a weird, scary thing to think
Yeah.
about. Like pharmacists are
100%.
scared to say certain things. And so, not that we want to get ourselves in trouble or anything, but you're completely right. In our last episode that we uploaded, which is all about us quitting, is that
Yeah.
what we're sharing is what we've observed and has what happened to us. Like we're not
Yes.
making it up.
Up.
And so that's why a lot of people relate to our stories because we're not just like, talking trash just to talk trash.
We're not asking Chat GPT. Tell me, give me an example. Give
Yeah.
me an example of when, as a high school student, I found myself with a 40-something-year-old man making a pass at me, and I felt scared and uncertain
Disturbing.
and
Yeah.
ended up just dropping that course and missing out on, good college. I wish that I was making that. I wish that I was biting someone's story for that. I wish that I've never experienced that. You know what I'm saying to you? So, like, here, I think the people who have come and have stayed, and by the way, our reach transcends pharmacy. That's the other thing we really need to be proud of and talk about on here today. Like I'm at chemo. This was one of my favorite moments this past year. I'm at chemotherapy with my mother, and my mom's nurse that day. Shout out Pinky. I know you're listening because you
Hi,
tell me you
Pinky.
keep listening. Pinky, Pinky, look, Thu just said hi. um, she comes to me and she's just, well, Pinky's bubbly at baseline anyway, but she's radiating with like so much energy and joy. And she's talking to me about how much she loves Thu's confidence and how Thu expresses herself and how Thu is so sure of herself. I was like, Thu needs to hear this. Can I just record a message for her and send it to her? But that gave me so much joy and told me that we were on the right track because we have nurses listening to us, and she's talking to me like our episode about the name, and she's telling me how Pinky's a very common name where she's from and she came here and it wasn't. But we, to the point of it's the things that we've lived. My name, there is nothing special about Saley and Thu in Guinea. Nothing.
Oh,
Nothing.
same here. Like literally the most common name. Like Thu is like synonymous with Vietnamese, basically. Like, oh, Vietnamese? I'm like, yep.
That's when I kept telling you, I was like, Thu, we are on the right track with this thing. We just need to keep powering forward.
Yeah,
But
totally. But anyway, so there's a lot of things that we're going to do today. First of all, first and foremost, actually, let's do this part. Before we do all of that, if you're listening on YouTube, please like and write a comment. We would love to have your opinions on all the topics that we're going to be touching on today, including the Olympics, Raygun, hello,
oh
and
gosh.
then just all of the Q&A things that we're going to be doing today. Please subscribe. And if you're listening to Spotify, please, send us a review, write a
Yes.
review, rate our podcast. We'd love to
Yes.
have you even share our episodes. That
Yes.
way we can be your companions and your friend's companions and your mom's companion and everybody's companion. We want to grow our podcast and we want to reach far. So please help us out with that. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Listen, I have to echo that. We are here today talking about being here for a year. None of that would have been possible without your support and the likes and the follows and the reshares and the comments. Like, so we don't want you to take your foot off the gas, baby. Just keep going. Full steam ahead because
Totally.
I just basically put it out there that I'm coming for the number one spot. Like we're coming for it. And we can't really do that if you're not engaging with us. Like the one little piece of this that is necessary for me to deliver on that is for you guys to continue to support us, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you guys. So there's going to be multiple topics today. Hopefully we can all
Yes.
squeeze it all in a, an hour or so episode. But I was talking to Saleh and she hadn't really been following the Olympics. And I was just like, yo, there's so many things that
Right.
happened this year. I mean, I'm going to be really honest. And I think this is like the most Gen Z thing of me, but I didn't really watch the Olympics, but I watched a lot of Olympic memes and I follow all the Olympic lore that's on the internet. I
That
didn't even
is
watch
that is the
I
most
didn't I didn't
Gen
even
Z
watch
thing.
like the opening or closing ceremony really.
Oh, I watched opening because Mother Celine performed. Um,
Mother.
Mother, Queen Mother Celine performed. Um, she's a citizen of every country all over the world, and the Guinean in me couldn't allow our queen reigning supreme of the vocal to not have my eyes glued to the TV and tears coming down my face.
Oh my gosh.
He will
Okay,
do it to
well,
me every time. Yeah, I
Celine
caught
Dion did
opening.
perform. That is
Yes,
actually very cool.
yes,
And the closing ceremony, so Los Angeles is taken over. So, I mean,
yeah.
hey, what if the Hayrex friends, we got this podcast is going to cover the Olympics?
Live. Let me practice. Coming to you live from Los Angeles Olympics.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh.
RX friends, we got
We
this.
got this.
We are here to bring you all the smoke. Oh,
So,
that needs work. Oh, that needs work. Oh, that needs so
we'll
much
work
work.
on it. We'll chat
Work
GPT
on it.
it. Yeah. So a lot of really cool things happen. And obviously, I think what I love most about the Olympics are the stories. In
Yeah,
addition to the performance, so obviously gymnastics is a big event. Simone
absolutely.
Biles was awesome. She
Yeah.
came back with a bang, like amazing, right? But one of the gymnasts that I wanted to let you know about, Suni Lee, I don't know if you heard about what had happened to her recently, but she came back and was part of the gold medal winning team. But
Oh,
she actually didn't even think that she was going to be part of the Olympics because she was diagnosed with a kidney disease, a chronic kidney disease, maybe like 8 months, 11, 8 months before the Olympics, something like that. She basically woke up swollen one day and didn't know what was going on. And the doctors didn't know what was going on. And it actually took a really long time for them to diagnose her with, she hasn't really disclosed the specific disease, but it's a chronic kidney disease. So it actually has taken her a long time to improve and get back on the beam, get back on the bar, and do all of that. She is now, she won the gold medal with the team, and I believe she won a couple of bronzes as well. So amazing, amazing comeback story. Amazing comeback. And I needed to tell you that because when I heard about it, I was like, oh, Saleh would love this story. Saleh would love this story.
wait. Also,
Yeah.
to all of my kidney community people, I know some of you listen here. Why haven't we just made a humongous deal out of this? One of the biggest things in our community is how the world perceives us and how we perceive ourselves, right? When I
Oh,
hear a story like this of someone like pushing through, and this is insane. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go and consume so much content
Suni
from
Lee.
her
Mhm.
because we see ourselves, like I'm gonna stop saying we because we also don't like that when like one of us speak for the rest of the group, but I see myself as this defective toy in the assembly line and constantly overcompensating for that. When in actuality, normal people, people with no issues, could not accomplish half of what I've accomplished. I'm just saying.
Very true.
I'm just saying that I am a beast when it comes to getting what I want. And normal people may have
We
issues.
we need to find like the formula of like a Saleh formula and just like
No,
put it in the drop of like the in the
no,
water so everybody
no,
can
no,
just have this like power beast mode all the time.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
No. It's a, it's an unhealthy, fierce competitiveness that lives inside. That is why I just can't stop myself from going forward. But like I look at all of the things that I've been blessed to do and still feel defective and still feel inadequate and still feel like there's room to grow, there's room to grow, there's room to grow. And when I hear stories like this, oh, it just gives me so much joy because oh, she's a sister warrior.
Yeah, it gives
I,
you
I
a lot of hope and
it
inspiration too.
does.
Yeah.
Ah, that's so
But no more
cool.
sniffling because now we're going to talk about Raygun.
Yeah, when I tell you it's been all week of her priming me for this, and I had to not Google it. This is my genuine first time seeing anything Raygun. I don't even know what the context is here. So here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best to explain, but essentially, breaking, which is I suppose the sport form of a lot of people call it breakdancing, but
Okay.
breaking is making its debut at the Olympics. This is the first time that breaking is going to be at the Olympics, and so
Are you
is
serious?
quite exciting. Yeah, and Snoop Dogg even came on and kind of like opened the stage for the dancers to come on. It's a whole thing, and of course breaking and breakdancing, I don't quite know what like the proper terminology is, but it's a very cultural thing. It
Yes.
started in the Bronx in New York, and it
Yes.
has really spread out throughout the world.
World.
Um, but it does have a lot of like cultural connotation or context behind it,
Yes.
and so it's just very interesting now that it's here at the Olympics and
Yeah.
being performed as a sport and being judged
Yeah.
for it. So it's very interesting. Before we talk about
Wow.
Miss Rachel Gunn, I want to show you what the women's breaking champion, like what their moves look like, so you can kind of
Okay.
compare to Raygun and her moves because I feel like
Okay.
that's only fair. So,
Okay.
all right. So this was the women's breaking final, and let's watch. Okay, so turns out that these clips are copyrighted by NBC. What do you know? So I am just gonna narrate instead. No, just kidding. I'm not gonna narrate. But basically, Saley and I are watching amazing breakers doing their things, spinning around, spinning on their heads, spinning on their feet, spinning everywhere, on the floor, up in the air, on their hands, on their backs, on their heads. Anyways, you get what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to show Saleh what breaking typically looked like at the Olympics compared to our friend Raygun that we're going to be talking about. A lot of it is very artistic, right?
Very, yeah.
It is.
I love the stereo boom box as the Paris to it.
Oh yeah, it's
They went for that 80s feel. I like that.
very much so. However, one name that was missing from this entire clip here is a lady named Raygun. And why is she missing? Let me just show you a clip of what she did at the Olympics.
I'm getting like frame by frame, not video.
Weird. Okay, maybe we can do this.
Did she put up her middle finger or something?
No.
Oh.
No. It's
On
actually
video.
maybe even worse than putting up her middle finger. Actually, I think you get yeah, I think you get a penalty if you put up a middle finger during breaking because you're supposed to kind of like it's like a dance battle, so you are supposed to
Yes.
show attitude.
Yes.
All right. Well, editing through here, I just wanted to come on and explain what had happened so for those of you who are listening can kind of understand what's going on. But essentially, our internet connection was really horrible that day. I couldn't share any of these videos with Saleh. I just sent her the links and she watched it herself, and I just watched her watch the video. And so that's why some of my comments are like, what are you watching? What are you laughing at? It's actually really funny if you think about it. Anyways, back to regular programming. Are you watching it?
What is going on?
What? What are you laughing at? Are you laughing at Raygun?
What is this?
Are you watching her? Are you watching the video?
What is this?
Yeah. So she came to the Olympics
What
doing
in God?
that.
What in what in God's name is that?
Okay.
What did I just watch? I'm sorry. I needed to audition for the Olympics for Guinea for breakdancing. I think next year I'm going to be the Guinea breakdancing candidate.
If Raygun can do it,
If Raygun can do it,
anyone can.
let me tell you something. That's a t-shirt. If Raygun can do it, I'm watching it and I'm just like, thank you for showing me the people who won the gold medal, their performance, and then showing me hers. Why is this woman so sensational online now? Help me understand the internet and its fury around this.
Well, I think so. As you can see, her dance moves and everybody else's dance moves are significantly different. Like you're like,
yeah.
What did I just watch?
Yeah.
Now you look at this woman, right? And I think she represents Australia for the Olympics in breaking. And literally everybody was like, how did this woman even get into the Olympics? So of course, there was this whole thing about like, oh, I don't think that I think she cheated. I think that she got her husband to be on an organization to then like get her into whatever. It was the entire thing. Everybody thought that she basically cheated her way into the Olympics and essentially made a fool of herself and a fool of like breaking. What's really fascinating about this whole situation is that because she got trolled and memed so bad,
Yeah.
that her video is no longer on YouTube. It's no longer on the internet. That is how bad it got. I mean, this woman got quite a bit of flack for doing what she did and how she showed up.
So I'm just like, what in God's name am I watching right now? Like, what am I watching? Because I saw those other videos, and now you're telling me that this was part of the same competition.
Yes.
Oh, I see. I see how. Okay, but so here's the thing. I think I think it's funny. I think my visceral reaction was to laugh, but
Right.
I don't think my mind went to um she cheated her way in, or I don't think that's okay. I don't There are a lot of lousy male sports that make it into the Olympic. I don't know that this is the conversation that surrounds them.
But I mean, if you compare her moves with the athletes that you saw before
Yeah.
you
No.
would be like, what? How
What
does
in
she end
God's
up
name?
here?
Correct.
Right.
You would, but I don't know that the insinuation that she either cheated, paid someone, or used relationships to get there. I am going to go out on the limb and say that that wouldn't have been the case if she was male.
Oh, okay. So you're going the gender route.
I am. I'm not defending this performance. I can't. It's difficult to defend. It's difficult to
But you know
defend.
what's wild is like the Australian, like the person who is in charge of like the Australians representation at the Olympics, they're
Yeah.
defending her.
Good.
And you know what's also really wild is that she is now apparently assigned with some sort of like agency. So this performance
Hey,
actually might have gotten her somewhere in her career.
that's what I'm talking about. Hey, Raygun girl, listen here. You do the best with what you've been given. The internet try to troll and take you down, sis. Show them that the internet can be used for good and for bad. And look at you with your agency sign on now. You better go
You know
work,
what? That is
girl.
a different perspective than a lot of people's perspective because I think
You
everybody was
go,
like waiting for
girl.
her downfall. Everybody was like, get rid of her.
Now,
But
I'm
Saleh's
rooting
like,
for her. I'm rooting for
wow,
her.
really?
I am rooting for her. And let me tell you why I'm rooting for her. In a world where so many mediocre men have had doors flung wide open for them, we need to let one mediocre woman make up for all
What?
centuries of mediocre men that have been allowed to just get wherever they want to go.
Oh my
Raygon
goodness.
girl,
Okay.
you my girl. You're
But
my ticket.
but
Raygon
Saleh,
for president of Australia. Let's go. I'm with it.
what?
Let's do all of it
But
while we're
Saleh,
at it.
the story is not over because
Oh no. You set me up. You set me up. You set me up.
because if you think that that was the end, I found this clip.
The issue is not with Raygun, the issue is with these folks right here. These are the officials for World Dance Sport Federation. They are the ones who pushed for breakdancing to be in the Olympics. And you might notice that not a single one of those people came from the Bronx or has any connection to breaking culture. They are not breakdancers. They all specialize in ballroom dance. What we're seeing here is the World Dance Sport Federation trying to commercialize breakdancing for their own monetary gain. And they're doing that by trying to make something a sport that isn't a sport. There's a really good article explaining this, the Australian breaking scene in the Olympic Games, the possibilities and politics of sportification, written by Rachel Gunn. Raygun wrote this article. And this article actually gives a really good explanation for what happened at the Olympic Games. It explains that breakdancing isn't just one kind of dance or one culture. It's a lot of different small dancing communities. And it explains that this originated in the Bronx and in LA. And there's even debate whether or not the dancing that is done outside of those communities is legitimate. She acknowledges herself in this article that her doing the hip hop dancing that she does in Sydney, Australia is controversial in itself. And what she talks about here is that Australia has several different breaking scenes, and they take place in these different cities that are separated by really harsh terrain that doesn't have easy transportation back and forth. So unifying breaking culture in Australia as one thing is impossible. And that the style of breakdance that you see in New York or LA or Australia are vastly different. So the way breaking looks in Australia is vastly different than the way it looks anywhere else. And she knows this. She knows full well that the dancing that she is doing doesn't look anything like the dancing that is being done by the other countries. And that brings us to the whole point of this article, which is that in order to make this into a global sport, it has to be standardized. There has to be one way of scoring it. And that means that putting this into the Olympics as a sport might destroy the culture of breakdance. That the breaking community in Sydney, Australia, that has a specific style of dance might not be allowed to continue to have their own style of dance if they want to compete on this global scale. So as the next generation of dancers come into this community space, they will see it in the Olympics and they want to compete in that sport versus immersing themselves into that culture, ultimately destroying the culture of breakdance. So there's a part of me that wonders, was Raygun trying to preserve the culture and history of breakdance? Was she wanting us to see how bizarre and absurd it is? Was her entire performance a commentary on the way that breakdance and breakdance culture is being appropriated and stolen by the World Dance Sport Federation for capitalism? I think that might have been what she was doing. I think she might have been kangaroo hopping and sprinklering in an attempt to preserve the culture of breakdance in Australia.
The guy in that clip was essentially saying, was Raygun trying to make a political statement at the Olympics?
Big.
Can you imagine if she did that? You know what? I think
Raygun.
you had the right idea about Raygun this whole time.
Raygun for president, Australia.
Go break it all.
I don't know where these elections are, but I'm happy to beg my job to let me work remotely and come be your campaign manager, girl. Hire me.
Amazing. All right. Well, basically that is the Raygun lore, and we're having internet troubles today, so unfortunately can't do the full review or the full, I guess, reaction. But
I just wanted to love the Olympics.
I just got to tell you all about the Olympics this year. It's been a wild, wild time.
How else do we find out about a woman named Rachel Gunn, who's a mediocre breakdancer, who the internet trolls off the internet, but she's on her way to something.
Okay, you guys, I know this has nothing to do with pharmacy, and don't worry, we'll get to the pharmacy part soon, but I have an update on Raygun, and this was like a couple of days ago. So this is now in September. And apparently there is an article, this one here I'm seeing from Sports Illustrated. It says, but despite performance, Gunn claimed the #1 spot in the New World Rankings released Tuesday by the World Dance Sport Federation. It was a development that inevitably raised eyebrows, and so the WDSF was compelled to release a statement explaining how she earned the top spot. So apparently she's the #1 world break dancer. What is going on with the world? I don't understand it, but feel free to, do your own research and learn more about the Raygun lore. I feel like we know way too much about the Raygun lore at this point, and this will be the last time we will ever speak of the legend herself, Raygun. All right, seriously though, back to regular programming. Did you see her, and I don't know if the video showed it because we weren't able to watch it together, but did you see some of her maybe like Australian animal dance moves?
Yeah, I saw this, the kangaroo.
Like the little kangaroo?
The kangaroo took me out.
She was inspired by the Australian animals, yes.
The kangaroo took me out. That was the one I saw for sure. You know what?
You need to share this to Henry. You need to share this to Henry. You all need to laugh about this.
I'm going to share Henry this. Next time Henry says something I don't like, I'm like,
bounce away.
Don't make me Rachel Gunn you, sir. Get out of here.
Oh my God. All right, guys. Well, that was the Olympics wrap up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as well. And hopefully you enjoyed all the lore and all the tears that we cried together today. Now, when we come back, we're going to go to the Q&A session of this podcast episode where you guys asked us some questions and we are going to give you the tea. And we might need to keep this short, Saley. So let's keep our answers short because we're running out of time. Well, welcome back. Okay, guys. So we've got some questions that people have put in, and we would love to answer them for you. So let's just do it kind of randomly. Somebody here asked, oh, Precious. Okay, Precious asked specifically for you, Saleh. Can you
Oh,
talk about being a first generation African while balancing pharmacy school?
wow. Precious, thank you so much for your question. Very thought-provoking, but being a first generation pharmacist here as an African, it's balancing culture with evidence-based medicine. Our families, herbs and oils and teas are going to be what saves everything. And where we're from, people don't get hospitalized unless they are on the verge of dying. So the idea of hospital and medicine, Western medicine, it's not the most welcome. So even during COVID, we had a lot of time and arguments with uncles and aunties, convincing them that the vaccine isn't going to cause them harm. Convincing our uncle who's been smoking for 30 years, he doesn't want to get COVID vaccinated because he doesn't know what's in the vaccine, but you're smoking. Okay, uncle. It's challenging balancing culture and what your new life as a professional is going to be. But I think having open dialogue with your family and making sure that, because you can't also come off too educated because you're trying to tell them that they don't know anything. The culture, it's just so rigid. But I think for me, the balance has always been, Auntie, tell me, what are your thoughts about this? Uncle, tell me, what do you think about that? And approaching it in a way of an exchange instead of you're schooling them. Don't give up. Keep going, precious.
Do you call everybody uncles and aunties?
Oh, yes, girl. Everybody
Okay.
is uncle and auntie. Everybody.
That's
Yes.
that's really cool to know. All right, next question. What have you seen as your biggest personal growths in the past year? My friend Danielle asked this.
You go first. Whew.
The biggest personal growth.
Mm,
Okay. I would say that I probably had like well, I would say that running this podcast has taught me so many things. And in general, I think even our podcast friend here, Tim Ulbrich, he also said that besides raising his children,
yes.
having his business was something that has taught him a lot of things. And I think that's
Yeah.
the same thing with me is
Yeah.
doing something different, being an entrepreneur, going out there and trying something new. That has taught
Yeah.
me a lot of things. I think
Yeah.
some of the biggest lessons would be to not take things so personally. That's probably
Yeah.
one of the biggest things that I've had to learn.
Mm.
But the biggest thing would be like I have the power in my fingers and my fingertips. Like I don't really need to, I don't know, seek out validations from outside sources. Like
Period.
it's in here. I am
Period.
enough, and that's
Full
probably one of the
stop.
biggest things. So, yeah,
Full stop.
it's in
Period.
here. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm co-signing that to the bank.
Okay.
I'm co-signing that to the bank. Uh, when I think personal growth this year, I have to say it's becoming a new mom.
Oh, that's
The
right.
the
Yes.
things that my son has taught me about forgiveness and patience and like I don't want to call it love because what it is transcends love in a way. Um, he boxes me in the face and I laugh about that. Like he vomits on me and I'm just thinking like that is so cute. Like no, there's nothing cute about being vomited on, right? But for some reason this little person can't really do anything to me that I am not willing to just accept and just find a way around just accepting. I think becoming a new mom and balancing that with a career that is growing. I started this podcast with a 4-month-old that had just come home from the NICU from 2 months of being in the NICU. But that would be mine. Like it's taught me a lot about like what I can do and what I'm capable of just as a person
Yeah.
outside of the business. Yeah.
Yeah. What we're
I love
capable
that
of.
question.
I
Thank you
love
for
it.
that question, Danielle.
Oh, and here's another question from Nguyen Pham. He is a student at the University of Arizona. Hi, shout out.
Hi.
He's been very supportive of us, and I
Yes.
very much appreciate that. He
Yes.
asks, can you ever imagine this possibility a year ago for our one
No,
year anniversary?
no. Where we are today is definitely not what I envisioned a year ago. I was so aspirational a year ago. Like a year, you remember I was like the newest and baddest podcast. First episode. Do you remember that? I was like, I was talking my ish. I was just like, we're going to be this. And then we are in this other place where all of those aspirational thoughts, they don't seem so aspirational now. They just seems like actionable items now. And that like the simple answer to your question is we've completely transcended and superseded way beyond what I thought a year ago. And that's why I am making the bold statement that we are coming for the number one spot, because a year ago, that dream seems so little now.
Yeah.
Right? It seems so small now versus where we are headed now. I want to shoot for the stars. I love that question. Thank you for it.
You know, it's funny. He said, "Can you ever imagine this possibility a year ago?" And I think it's an interesting question for me because I don't think my imagination was big enough maybe a
Yeah.
year ago. But it's like one of those things where like as it's happening, you're like, of course it's happening. Like it
Yes.
doesn't seem like weird. It
Yes.
doesn't feel
Out of
so
reach.
out of reach. So it almost feels like to me, it's like, yeah, I think I've always kind of known that
Yes.
like this is a possibility,
Yes.
but I couldn't really imagine it. And I think if
Yeah.
you go back to like some of our earliest episodes where we talk about the podcast, I always talk about how everything, the path is like extremely blurry.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see certain things, but it's very like, it's not, you don't see the shapes of the trees basically yet. You're just seeing like shadows. But
Yeah.
it's like, we've always kind of known that this is something that we can achieve. Like it's something that is within us to do. And again, it's like
Yeah.
that power within you kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you know, at the same time, it's like we couldn't really see it until it's there. And I think
It's
that is
there.
entrepreneurship, you know,
It
like
really is.
you just have to just trust to keep going.
I know.
That's
And
it.
does that uncertainty, I'm gonna spin off because this is such a great question here, but did did you ever have a moment where that uncertainty was more fear and less motivation? Or did the uncertainty always serve as motivation and less fear?
Well, there's just a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And you know, it taps into again, I think this is why having a business teaches you so much about who you are because
Yeah.
I recognize the fear is really within myself. It's not really
Yeah.
like the business. The fear is just like, what if I'm wasting my time? What if
Yes.
people will laugh at me?
Yes.
What if I fail so utterly like publicly?
Publicly. Oh my
If
gosh.
those are
That
the fears.
that
Yes,
is
yes.
that
Like
is
you're
like
like
the
out here
crown.
being like
It's
podcast, and then a year later you're like, what happened to your podcast? Like I don't want to talk about it. You know, it's like that is my
well,
fear.
yeah. Well, what had happened was now
Yeah.
you're telling stories of well, what had happened was, and I think like what many of my mentors like put in my head to help me just do it despite that fear being so prominent in all the moves that we've made is just like so the F what?
You get to pick how you react to the fears.
Yeah.
You get to pick it. You can be like, okay, fear,
That's so what?
welcome into like the house, whatever.
Come on.
But I'm just gonna keep going. Get in the car. Just get the fucking
Have a
car,
seat.
fear. Yeah.
Come on.
Put
You're
on your
holding this
seatbelt. We're
up.
going.
Yes. Because we're going and you're holding us up.
We're going.
Get
You're
in
coming
here.
with us, but we're going still. Yeah.
We're going in here.
100%.
That's 100%. You're like
I love it.
ambition, scoot over, make room for fear. Just to get in here. Let's not leave her behind. Get in here,
I
girl.
love that. Yeah, everybody make space. Just
Make
all
space.
of like your emotional baggage. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got it in the back of your car.
So serious.
Here's another question. Do you have any advice for farm students graduating this year when finding a job? And Zarinam, I believe, is the person who asked the question.
Oh.
Any advice?
I love this question. I think it's a loaded question, but advice this year, we just talked about uncertainty. You have got to really be comfortable with the fact that there's going to be some uncertainty, especially if you've been a traditional student. This is the thing that and you know who is really transparent about this piece of the journey this year online that I really loved is Haley.
Who? Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
Haley.
Shout out.
Shout out to Haley. Haley was really transparent about this part. If you've been a student and never took a break from education and you just went school, 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 school for the first time in your life, you're done. You're done. There's no registration for another course. There's no registration for nothing else. There's just life that's going to happen now, and how ill prepared and the anxieties that she was feeling around this transition phase. And so I think it's a great question to ask, but I want to tell you that that uncertainty and that window and that moment of anxiety and fear, it's coming, and it's okay. Everybody who's honest will tell you that they had it. It's okay. The uncertainty that you will have this year, the other people around you that are getting the offers, that are getting the job offers where they want, the appies that are telling you they want to keep you or they don't have any, it is all okay, because at the end of the day, you just have to make sure that what you got this, and you need to keep going. So the lesson this year is to just keep going and get clear about what you want early, so that the no's and the maybes and none of that kind of deters you from what you've envisioned for yourself. That would be like
Yeah. I
my
can't even
biggest advice.
imagine
Yeah,
graduating this year because I know there
yeah,
is so much uncertainty out there with a lot of closures of pharmacies, CVS, Walgreens, everything. That
everything.
that is very scary.
Yeah,
And pharmacists who've worked for years are getting laid off. So
yeah,
yeah, it feels very disheartening.
yeah.
But I think the really nice thing is that you are still in school, so you have time to prepare for
Mm,
that, and you're
yeah.
seeing some of the things that's happening now versus being in
Mhm.
it and then having to deal with it. So
Yeah,
I think that's actually a really cool advantage is you get to really
yeah.
prepare.
Hmm.
When I was about to graduate, we've talked about a lot of these things. We have episodes about my failure not
Go
matching.
check them out now. Go
Go
check
check them
them
out right
out right
now.
now.
And it was what, like I finally matched with a program in April and I was supposed, or like May or March, April, and I was supposed to graduate in May, for example. Like that was
Yeah,
really scary. I had nothing lined up. But
yeah.
what really got me secured or felt more secure was me just going after what I
Yes.
wanted. It was just like calling up everybody that I could,
Yep.
practice interviews, and
Yes.
just trying to be the best version that I can be and putting that out there so that people could see the best side of me.
A hundred
Um,
percent.
but I couldn't have gotten where I am today without that hustle. And so if
Yeah.
you really, really, really want it, then you gotta really, really, really go and get it. But you
Gotta
just have
get
to
it.
believe in yourself that you can
Yes.
get the things
Yeah.
that you want. So it might not
Absolutely.
happen immediately and may not
Yeah.
happen right away, but it can. So
Can.
trust in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, Voice First is another account that I see all the time on our Instagram. Really
Hi. Thanks for
appreciate you guys.
supporting.
I know. What do you envision for the future of the podcast? Branch into other media formats? Question mark.
Yes. Simple answer. Yes.
See,
Simple answer. Yes. Oh, our dreams are so big. I'm going to talk about my dream. I love the word premiere. I don't know why, but I do. But I see us as being the premier media couple that every professional pharmacy organization wants present at their events. We bring the energy, we bring the fun, we bring a new perspective to what a lot of people see as a boring meeting on the weekend to just get CEs. We can come in and really spice that thing up for you and create a lot of FOMO around your event for people who are not there. We envision this podcast being able to do that. And we envision becoming a bigger presence at the biggest pharmacy meetings of the year. But as far as what Thu and I have already been able to accomplish individually with our individual brands, this is not the most inconceivable goal for us to have and say that we want to do. I wholeheartedly believe in that.
yeah, I mean, I think that what I envision for the future of the podcast, I want to. I've said this all the time, but the thing that I love so much about life is a community. I've always wanted to seek out the
Yeah.
community of people who are very like-minded, but maybe
Yeah.
don't feel like they belong in certain things. And I feel like
Yeah.
I experienced that my whole life. And so I'm
Yeah.
always in the search of finding people who we can kind of bring into the fold and like
Yeah.
just be this community of supportive people. And that's always been my dream. So if we can create that community, we can like inspire pharmacists, young, new, you know, baby, graduated years
Graduate.
ago, to just come together and support each other, but not only just support, but like inspire each other to be more engaged in
Yes.
life, in the
Yes.
profession, and everything. That would be my dream. That would
Yes.
be my dream. I'd be like, I made
We're
that.
doing
We
it
made that
already.
happen. Yeah.
We're doing it, and we want to do it on like
A giant scale.
global scale.
International.
Pharmacy students in Nigeria. I have one. We're listened to globally.
Oh.
Remember that. So pharmacy students in Nigeria are in communication as well. And I love the ones from Ghana, from Nigeria. But all of the pharmacy students that you're hearing our voice, I don't care where you are. I want you to know that we are a community, and that community isn't just a US community. Wherever you are, I promise you that if you inbox us, we will respond, and we will love to hear what life is like for you wherever you
That's
are
so cool.
experiencing pharmacy.
See, this is what I say. Saleh just takes my idea and like make it so large, and I'm like, that is
I'm
such
not
a good
creative.
idea.
I'm not the creative brain.
I'm out here being like, I want to create a community. She's like, we're gonna create a global community.
Because you gotta remember the delusional me. She's raging constantly.
I'm telling you, could you please just like create a formula and just send it to me? I need to drop it, like one drop in each coffee that I drink. I would appreciate that very much. Okay, so Learn with Libby is another amazing creator on Instagram. She's blowing up too. I love to see that. And she is teaching a lot of people to, I guess, how to get into industry and the pharmacy career. So,
oh, is this Libby? I missed the name.
Libby, Learning with Libby.
Yeah, we love Libby. Yeah,
she's amazing. She's always been so supportive of us too. Shout out, shout out, shout out.
Shout out. We love all this. Yes.
What's been your favorite episode so far?
I was afraid that question would come up.
Just what?
But I like him so much.
I'm going to say, it's really hard, but I think the one that came just right now is Theranos episode.
I know.
That one was a good one.
We had fun. We had too much fun on that episode, though. We did. The Theranos episode was so fun. I'm trying to think. Because the episodes that I love is like the ones where we had a mixture of everything. We laughed and we did cry. The one on failure stands out a lot in my mind because I think to date I've listened to that one the most.
Go back to that one.
Yeah, I go back to that one a lot. But then the We Quit episode, I've already listened to. I've already been the We Quit episode.
We haven't uploaded that one yet.
No, we haven't. The audio of that one.
Do you have the audio? Did I send that to you?
No, I'm saying the We Quit episode is an upcoming episode that I see becoming my favorite because I'm remembering the conversation we had on that one. So it's like just looking at the reels that you're already putting out of that one. I'm like, I feel like I may watch this one. I may listen to this one a lot more.
Wow.
But Failure is really the one I've listened to a lot.
Like the one that's boosted our downloads.
I'm probably
the majority. Yeah.
The majority of that one.
Yeah. Okay. So Libby's next question is, what are you looking forward to in the next year of the podcast? What do you think? I think we've answered this several times now. I think we've had pretty big dreams about the podcast, but at the end of the day, we want to be recognized as the biggest podcast in the world. So is that what we're going for?
Yes.
How has the podcast helped you grow? I think I've kind of mentioned that earlier as well. I've learned a lot in
we're growing a lot. I think my fear, the podcast specifically, has forced me to just toss my fear of rejection out the door. Like just being relentless with the inboxing and just being okay to never hear back or being okay with just saying not right now. I've become so comfortable with that. And that's not because of Resi Prep. That was something that really happened with the podcast and all of the ways I've wanted the podcast to partner.
I really thought it was because you had experience with Resi Prep, but this is something that's new for you.
No. With Resi Prep, it's been a one-woman army type of mentality and reaching out to individual people and leveraging like my network. With the podcast, it's been people that I have never spoken to ever before. Cold emails. that's the thing the podcast really forced me to become comfortable with. Everything with
Wow.
Resi
I
Prep,
love it.
it's people whose content I engage with, and I'm like, oh, I really feel like you could have a conversation with like my audience that would be awesome. But with the podcast, it's like, I saw your post today and just thought it was really great that you guys are having such and such. Or you looking for X, Y, and Z? This is what we can do.
Love it. Oh my gosh, look at you
Crickets,
go.
crickets, crickets.
You know, the crickets will become louder and louder. Or
No, no, no.
do cricket? Yeah,
No, no, no.
whatever.
Silence, silence.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Ah! Wait, is that a good thing? You know, crickets are lucky, according to Mulan.
Oh, yeah,
and
they
the movie.
are.
So we
Oh,
want the
God.
crickets. That's
Not
okay.
the Mulan references.
No, can I tell you the other day there was a cricket in like a meeting and like somebody killed the cricket. I know it's kind of sad story, but I was like, what? It's a good luck charm.
Why would you
Perm-
ever kill a? You need to tell them. I would have just said, have you ever watched Mulan?
I
And
did.
leave it at that.
I was like, hello. Okay, anyways. Justine, who's also a name that I think you did a live with her.
Yeah, yeah. She's a student out in
Okay,
California.
yeah. She's awesome. She's always engaging
Yeah.
our content. Shout out to
Hey,
Justine. She's
hi,
amazing. And she's doing
Justine.
big things too, right? On
Yes.
TikTok, on
I'll
Instagram.
take that. Yeah.
What advice can you give a P1 pharmacy student based on how to study the material?
Oh,
Good
get
question.
organized quickly. I would say, and it's always that that's an adjustment period too, because I came in studying the way I studied undergrad, which was let's just clump it all together and go at it over a weekend or a week or so. And in pharmacy school, I had to learn that I needed to bite size this bad boy. Every day, do a little bit. Every day, do a little bit. Every day, do a little bit. But I think get organized, really understand your academic schedule so that you know, and be intentional about this is study time. Like these 2, 3 hours, 4, 5, whatever, I'm dedicating that to study. The other advantage that we have today is the endless amount of online resources that exist that can help you just take the most complicated concepts and teach it to you in 5 minutes, big picture, so that when you go to dive in, you can actually understand what the little nuanced parts of this thing is. That also today is available to us in a way that it wasn't even 10 years ago. But that's what I would say are the two things you want to get a hold of quickly.
I love it. Okay. What is it like working as partners who live in different states?
Let me tell you something. You can't convince me that I've never met Thu before. You're going to have a really hard time. I mean, she shocked me the other day by telling me that she's not 6 feet plus, but it's just, I just don't know. She casts such a large shadow. Like, I just think in my head, she's really, really, really tall. But I think working in different states, I had no experience with this before. Communication, honest, transparent communication. Like the moment I know that my schedule is not what I told her before, I put that out there to her. And she keeps me abreast. Well, we've got 2 episodes that we have in the vault. Definitely it's okay 1 week, or girl, we only have 1 in the vault. We really need to get serious about recording. I don't like it that it's this tight. And being comfortable hearing each other out. Like, I think like that's working with student, just letting them tell me what their thoughts are. And so also like working with you, it's just when we are working on a title, when we are working on an episode, when we're working on a structure for it's just making sure that you are listening to each other and taking each other's input into consideration. I feel like that's probably our superpower, because I don't feel like I'm an invisible or silent partner in any of what we've done.
Yeah.
And I hope that, that's the same thing, and that
Yeah.
I've also been respectful in that way and hearing you out and things like that.
I mean, different states can be kind of challenging with the time zones being different,
right.
and things like that. So, we have to always be mindful of it. And then if we have meetings and things outside of, or yeah, if we have meetings for the podcast, you know, I
Yeah.
still work full time, so do you, and you're
Yeah.
extremely busy, and so am I. So it's sometimes it is very difficult to just have all of these joint meetings. I think
Yeah.
that's probably our biggest challenge, but
I think
at the
so.
same time, I think we are pretty good about, you know, taking it independently if we need
Yeah.
to, and then let the
Yes.
other know what's going on. And
Yes.
that's been kind of how we've done a lot of things. And
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, we're still two independent women who have this joint business together, but we are able to make a lot of decisions independently and just kind of like let the other know. I mean,
Yeah.
I edit all the videos now. I used to kind of like let you know what they look like, and
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
let me just do it. Like I don't really need, you know, the feedback right now. Sometimes I will reach out to you, but you know, we do
Yeah.
work independently, and you've gone out there and gotten in everybody's faces about us, and you know, you've done that all
Really
on
sad.
your on your own.
It's really sad.
No, but that's amazing. It's hard for me to do that. So you've built so much strength with that this year, and that's why you're a celebrity, because people know your
Oh,
face. You
whoa,
know, you're
whoa,
always like, hey,
whoa.
hey, hey. No, but you know what? I think you are a celebrity. I think you have to
No,
realize that
no.
no,
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
you are.
No, I just like I feel like there's such a beautiful balance because even when Thu tells me she's taking a meeting by herself, I am not a nervous wreck. Like, what is she telling them? What is she agreeing to? What is she? If I go and tell people, oh, we're gonna do this, and she's like, that's a lot for what we're getting back. Can we do this instead? And I think also because I'm comfortable, because I'm never having conversations with people like locked and sealed. I always tell them, I'm gonna take it back to Thu and we'll get back. So
Yeah.
that always leaves that insurance policy that like if Thu is uncomfortable with the term I'm comfortable with, there's room for her and I to have that discussion and then I can always circle back. It's
Mhm.
so far so good. Like
Yeah.
the time difference Thu is up at really early hours in her time where I'm like sleeping in and waking up
Oh, that's right. That's
and
right.
coming in all high energy and whatnot.
Last question from Ryan, who I don't want to, I think his last name is Kwok, but he is one of the founders of the Student Pharmacy Network, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
I
You've
met
met with
Ryan.
him,
I met
Ryan?
Ryan at mid-year last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's so funny. Like it's like we kind of know the same people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Student Network, the Student RX Network, I guess is
Yeah.
what his program's called. So his question, and it's just a funny, silly one. It's like one of my favorites though, because it's just so random. But his question is: will Dr. Thungren do a skit series on the PPM after the first one hit?
I'm saying, hey Ryan, listen, buddy, I have offered to be her medication access content expert and provide her all of the inside details of how this universe works. My acting skills are diddly. I can't do any of these 7,000 people and characters that she's managed to have down. But I am happy to tell her how does it work when you get to the pharmacy and the copay is $1 million. And you're like, excuse me? I pay an insurance premium. Why am I being asked to pay all this money? I co-signed this plan completely. It should be its own series. Let's just give it life already, Thu. You're wasting time.
Yeah, well, you know, I do love the characters I play. I love how petty they are. I think that's my favorite part of them.
I love I love the pharma with her pearls. Okay.
Oh,
As you got
of
and then
course.
the PBM is the one with the red lipstick and the sunglasses,
The
right?
sunglasses, she's shady.
Yes.
Yeah, always.
I am too cool to be here.
Yeah,
Like,
she
y'all
is.
why am I here talking to all these peasants? Like,
You know
why am I
what's
here?
oh, totally. And I got a feedback too that the pharmacist should look a little bit more disheveled, which I'm like, that's true.
The pharmacist doesn't look like they've gone through enough. Like they just look like I'm here, I'm ready to work. No, I
Right.
need them to look like there's burn marks. Like, girl, they've been through fire. There's like
Can
black
you
marks on
imagine?
their face. Like, do you know the day I've had? That's the energy I want from the farm. I
We need
love it so
to put our
much.
brains together and
Yes,
figure more episodes out. Okay,
I
well, I
really
think
love
those are
it.
all the questions that we got. I really
We
appreciate the
love
ones
these.
that reached out to us and participated in this 1 year anniversary episode. So appreciative of everybody that's supporting us. So
Thank you
thank you.
guys. Thank you so much for we've
Sticking
said
with
it all.
us.
We've said it all.
We've said it all this whole time. Don't want to repeat ourselves. So thank you so much for listening. If this episode speaks to you and you think that others may benefit from hearing our stories, send this episode to them. This is going to help us reach even more people.
Yes. This episode is available on YouTube, Spotify, where else? Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, okay? And we want you guys to please review us. Please rate us. This is how we become discoverable. This is how we get into other fields and feeds of related content. So please share and like and write a review and rate the podcast. If you wanted to connect with the podcast, IG, TikTok, YouTube, again, Thu and I are also on LinkedIn and all of those other social media platforms, and she'll always link all of our individual socials below. Until next time, you don't forget what? We got this.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.